Now that your Angular has the basic setup in place, let's look at a few concepts you need to understand before you start writing your integration code. A Web3 wallet is designed to allow you as a user to store, manage, and transfer your digital assets securely. And a Web3 wallet also allows you to interact with different types of dApps and Web3 applications like PancakeSwap, Uniswap, Yield Finance, lending applications, digital exchanges, centralized exchanges, etc. We have two types of Web3 wallets. We have custodial wallets and we have non-custodial wallets. With non-custodial wallets, you are in complete control of your private keys. And this also implies that all the funds and digital assets in your wallet belong to you and are completely in your control. This also means that you have total responsibility to keep your private keys secure. If you lose your private keys, there are no alternative ways to recover it. With a custodial wallet, however, you trust a third party to control and keep your private keys secure. So non-custodial wallet examples are MetaMask and Trust Wallet, while custodial wallets examples are Coinbase and Binance Exchange. EVM nodes are pieces of software that run and hold copies of your blockchain data or state. They connect with other nodes to share and sync information. They connect with other nodes to verify and validate the state of the blockchain, right? So when you write your DApp, you are going to be interacting with a blockchain to query information on the blockchain, for example, a user's balance, right? And to carry out transactions. So when you do a transfer of USDT from a user to another user, that's a transaction, and that is executed by a node. And you can connect to a node via a JSON remote procedure call or a JSON WebSocket. Right? So once you have a node running, you will get a URL to connect to the node, and you can use JSON RPC or JSON WebSocket to connect to the node and either query for information or write transactions. And we have providers that offer nodes as a service. Examples are Infura and Alchemy, and you can also roll out your own node. And lastly, for your local testing and local development, you can also use tools like AppKit or Ganache, which provide you a local node that runs on your development system and allows you to test out smart contracts and interact with them. We also have Web3 libraries that help you to interact with the blockchain via a connection to a node, maybe an existing node, or a node provided as a service, maybe by Infura. So you use a Web3 library to interact with the blockchain, to send queries to the blockchain, to retrieve state from the blockchain, and to execute or to write transactions to the blockchain. Examples of Web3 libraries are Web3.js, Ethers.js, and WAGMI. In this tutorial series, we'll be using WAGMI CORE to interact with the blockchain. So a Web3 DApp usually allows a user to connect to a wallet, which will be used to sign transactions on that user's behalf, and these transactions are then sent to an EVM node through a Web3 library. So in order to get our Angular application to be able to connect to a wallet, we're going to install a library and use a library called Web3 Modal. So Web3 Modal is a very simple and versatile, easy to use library that helps you as a developer to add support for multiple providers in your DApp with a simple customizable configuration. So with Web3 Modal, you can easily support different kinds of providers and different wallets. For example, if you have seen or used a Web3 DApp where when you wanted to connect, you were allowed to choose between connecting to MetaMask or Trust Wallet or Coinbase Wallet, then you probably have encountered Web3 Modal. So let's go ahead to install Web3 Modal. We'll be using version 2 of Web3 Modal. Now Web3 Modal already has WAGMI bundled. So let's copy this And let's go to our application and let's install this. So while that is installing, if you don't have MetaMask installed, please go to metamask.io and click on the download button. Choose the right browser and click install. I already have MetaMask set up, and in the previous Solidity tutorial I've shown you how to add a network to MetaMask. So consult that tutorial again and you'll see how to add a local node like AppKit to MetaMask. Now that those have been installed, let's create a Web3 service that we will use to interact with our blockchain. So run the following command. So we use the CLI, the Angular CLI, to create a service. You can create a service by calling the ng generate service and then the name of the service. Okay, our Web3 service has been created. Okay, so let's go ahead to configure and set up our Web3 service. Let's add the import statements for WAGMI. Okay, let's add this. So we're going to set up the chains as a Web3 service because in future that will allow us to access the chains from the Web3 service and know which chains we support. So the chains array is a list of all the chains that you want Web3 model to support in your DApp. So when the user uses your DApp and it tries to connect to a wallet, Web3 model will present a network selection screen, a chain selection screen that allows the user to select the network they currently want to use. So this lends itself easily to helping you build multi-chain applications, as it allows you to deploy your contracts to different chains and provide the contract addresses to your Web3 library. And when the user switches between the chains, all you need to now do is switch the contract address for this contract, and Web3 model will handle all the connections. So you have chains. We are going to also support AppKit. So let's add AppKit. You can import AppKit from the WAGMI core chains library. So Web3 model is built with WAGMI core behind the scene. So you're going to see a lot of WAGMI code while using Web3 model. Now, project ID. Your project ID is required because you need to create a project on Wallet Connect and get the project ID from there to use Web3 model. So let's go ahead to quickly create a project ID. To create a project ID, go back to this page and you'll see a get started page here. So it will take you to cloud.walletconnect.com. So sign in or connect a wallet. You can see they also use Web3 model and Wallet Connect. So once you're here, you can click on new project, set up a project. You can call it whatever you like. And here you can see your project ID. So you can copy that, come here and paste that. Now, for the remaining fields, we are going to have to change them. So we change this to this.chains. Change this to this.chains to refer to the class variable. Same with this. And then we are going to keep a reference to Web3 model, just so we could do other things in future with it. So create this Web3 model undefined. So this becomes tree model. And just in case we need this, we keep a reference to it also. So soft type Ethereum client. So this becomes this. Okay. Okay, what's going on here? Hold on. So let's update all the references as needed. Okay, so yes, we have to specify. Sorry. Okay, so our Web3 service will run as a singleton service, and so we keep a reference to this Web3 model and the Ethereum client. Now, let's go through the code in turn. On this line, we call configure chains, which was imported from the WAGMI CORE library, and we pass in the chains that we would like to support, and an array of the providers I would like to support. A provider provides a connection to the blockchain, so whichever chain you want to connect to. So we use a wallet, a Web3 model provider, pass in the project ID, and that's that for that line. So it returns to you a public client. A public client in WAGMI terminology is an Ethereum client or a client-side client that can only read from the blockchain. So a public client cannot execute transactions, cannot send transactions, can only read and query state from the blockchain. So WAGMI separates the concept of a public client from a wallet client. So we'll get to wallet client in a bit. Let's look at the remaining config. So we have create config also, and you can config the options are auto connect to help you connect every time the connection is lost, and then you can pass in all the connectors. So here you also pass in the chains that you want to support, and then you pass in a public client that was created earlier, and that's your WAGMI config. You pass that to create an Ethereum client, and then all that is passed across to Web3 model here. So just follow the README and you get that. But what's important is that you maintain a reference to Ethereum client and Web3 model. Now there are a few other options you can configure here for the Web3 model. So you have project ID. You can enable network view, for example, to allow the users to select different networks. You can set that to true. If you do not set it to true, I think the default is false or undefined, and it will not give the user a network selection screen, which means that your DApp will automatically connect to whichever network the user's wallet is connected to. You can also include a theme. So if you want to support dark or light theme, you can specify that. And then lastly, you can also add enable Explorer, which will allow Web3 model to display a link to the block explorer of whatever chain that you're accessing. A block explorer allows you to view all the different transactions and different other types of data on a blockchain. So you have block explorers for Ethereum, like Etherscan, and for Binance Smart Chain or BNB chain now, like BSC Scan. So I'm going to leave that commented, and that's that. Okay, now once you're done with that, you now need a button to display on our DApp. So instead of this search form that is here, I'm going to replace this with a connect wallet button, right? And when the user clicks on it, it will connect the user to the wallet that is select. So Wallet Connect provides a Web3, a web component, a bundled web component called W3M Core button. So you don't have to write any code on your own. You can just put this anywhere on your app and it will work. Now we have to do this the Angular way so that you can reuse it as a component. So let's start by creating a component. Let's do ngg c and let's call it W3M button. Yes, that's fine. Okay, now that that has been created, now let's go to the HTML template and let's add. Let's copy this and paste on your HTML file. Okay. Okay, great. So we have this. And let's go to, you can either leave the selector as app W3M button, or let's just change this to okay, so that has been changed to W3M button. So there's something else we need to do. If you go here, you see that Angular doesn't recognize our web component. So let's go to our app module and let's add a custom element schema. So our schemas. So let's import this from Angular core. So it has built. So going forward, we can use the W3M button as a selector for our component. So let's go to our app component. So our nav bar. So we replace this with the W3M button. So let's remove this and save. So you can go ahead to now use the W3M button component anywhere you want to put a connect wallet button. Okay. Then let's add the Web3 service to public. Okay. So once you had this, to call the Web3 service constructor and configure the chains, create a Web3 modal instance and an Ethereum client. But once you do that, you see that we now have some error. For some reason, some Wallet Connect libraries and WAGMI libraries throw a lot of error. Okay, so we can look at some of them in turn. This says that this module can only be used with a default import. So let's allow synthetic default imports. So go to your TS config, compiler options, or just go to TS config and add that. True. So that's true, but we need to restart ngserve for us to see that fixed. Some other error. Okay, so let's stop this. Control C to stop, and then let's run ngserve again. Still a few other errors. Some imports errors. So just open them, and we'll use a dirty hack for now, and just add a TS no check to the first line of the files. Just add a TS no check to the first file of most of the files that are giving those errors. And hopefully Wallet Connect or WAGMI will fix those errors in the next version. Okay. So now we can see our button. And this is already connected because I've connected before. So let me clear the storage so you can see. So here's our connect wallet button. When you click on it, it allows you to connect. You can see the network selection screen. So you can choose which network you want to connect to. For now, I'll choose Ethereum. And then it allows you to select which particular wallet you want to connect to. And that's it. That's connected. You can see it's connected. So that's how to configure Web3 modal and get it to connect to a wallet from your DApp. And this is very, very easy. Web3 modal is not the only way you can connect to a wallet. You also have Rainbow Kit, but I found Web3 modal to be very, very easy to configure and extend.